Right. So this is episode 4 of our Data Digest, and I'd like to welcome everybody, right, who has spared the time to come here this evening. Well, it's 6 p.m. here. They're watching from a different place. It's probably more appropriate to say good morning or good afternoon. In any case, today's Data Digest is about, first, we're going to be playing around with employee data, and we're going to be playing around in Power BI, and of course, we're going to be visualizing data. But to begin, Resa Gratia is essentially an advanced data consultancy, and we're building data products. At the moment, we're using this Data Digest as a platform to enable data professionals or data enthusiasts to share hacks. You know, a hack could be something that is really interesting, that you found exciting during your data cleaning or data visualization process. And you want to share that with the larger community. So today's speaker is going to be doing just that. His name is Daniel, and he's extremely skilled at using Excel, Power BI, but much more importantly is, I think, the ability to solve problems in a very creative way. And I think that is what you're going to see here today. So without further ado, I'm going to let Daniel come up and take us through how, to visualize employee attrition rates using Power BI. Don't forget as well, if this is the first time, it would be good to get your thoughts at the end of this program, after which I'm going to share a survey. So thank you all for being here. Just 1 second. All right, Daniel, you there?
Oh, yes. Just a minute, please.
Super.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Toby, for the opportunity. And I believe today is going to be a wonderful time for us to learn together. So, just like you mentioned, so we are just going to take a look at the data set we have and try to do justice to a business need. And after that, we can always try as much as possible to reason together as regarding questions, and probably there's other better ways to actually solve this. So all those are welcome at the end of this session. So I'll just start by, I'd like to share my screen. Okay, so please let me know if when you can see my screen.
It hasn't come up yet.
Okay.
All right, now we can. Picture of a very beautiful woman.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. All right. So this evening is just basically visualizing employees attrition using a matrix visual in Power BI. But before we do that, it's not just about creating visuals. It's about meeting a need in the business world, bringing along the technical part of it. Probably you know how to use Excel very well, Power BI very well, or Tableau, or whichever visualization or business intelligence tool you know actually how to use very well. There's also the place of understanding the business need and providing a solution that is actually that gives the optimum result as at that particular point in time. So looking at it here, we have a business need from Risa Gracia. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce it very well, Toby. Risa Gracia, I would say Risa Gracia Group. So it's an international FCMG company with production plants in 5 African countries. So they have plants in Senegal, Nigeria, they have in South Africa, they have in Ghana. We'll take a look at the data set together to get this information. So Sandra, the global HR business partner, will be discussing plans to reduce the attrition rate of the company at the annual business review, which is coming up. And that is what actually brought about this problem. So in order to back up our claim that attrition rate is high during onboarding process, she has requested the business intelligence team to help her to analyze and visualize the employee attrition so that she's able to actually give a tangible to back up probably our instincts with data, which is actually what is very important in the world right now. It's not just all about guessing, but having information, data to back up whatsoever you are proposing at any point in time. And so she's hoping to see probably if there's patterns and any trends. So that is what we are actually planning to solve this evening together. All right, so I'll move in just now to do that. So at the end, I'm hoping that at the end we'll be able to provide solutions to this problem up here, and then we'll be able to, for quite a while, most people don't know that there's actually a way you can use a measure as a filter or a slicer rather in Power BI. So we are going to take a look at that as well, along other things that we'll be learning this evening. So what will our solution look like? Our solution will look like this, but our solution will look like this. Okay, so but our main focus this evening is just this employee attrition percentage by cohorts and months of attrition that we have underneath. I believe every other one are simple things that can be done by every other person, or if you don't, you can always seek tutorials on how to do that. Very simple and straightforward. All right, so this is our destination, just to let you know where we are going eventually. I may not be able to actually do the formatting, but whichever place we are able to get to before my time is up. So Toby, please do me a favor. Please let me know a few minutes ahead of my time. I can easily get.
I think you're good on time. So.
All right.
Yeah, take it away.
Okay. So right now, I will just start by bringing in my data. My data is coming from a flat file, which I have on my laptop here. So, okay. So let me just bring in my data. Sorry. Okay. So it's an Excel workbook, which I have. I have it here. It's a Gracia employees. So I'll just import this data and okay. So we have a table and we have a sheet. I think I'll just go with the table. Okay. Then I'll transform.
Is there a reason why you have gone for the table?
Well, from my Excel experience to Power BI, I actually love working with tables, because if I'm using a sheet, there is tendency of probably I've done some calculations I'm not expected to have done by the side. Other people may consider going for the sheet as well, but I think I just love having everything from my own end in tables.
See, like
Okay.
tables are like more structured and all that.
Yes. Okay, so I have this here. It's showing as table 2, but it's not really a fun way to have it. So I will just rename. You can rename by double clicking here, or you go to the top right hand side where you see properties name. So you just come and so I'll just name it data or HR data. All right. And so if you look at the data we have here, we have the email address of the employees. We have the site where they are coming from, that is their location, Kenya, Ghana. We have the department they belong to, production, administrative, finance, quality assurance, HR, marketing, professional services. This is the date they were hired. This is the date they are treated or left the company. And this is their current status. So basically everyone we have on this table, not everyone or query, not every one of them actually are in the company. Some of them have left. And so don't forget that everything we are doing is not just to just play around with data. We have a business problem to, or a business needs to attend to. So having this data the way it is, there's really no need to have any, we don't really have anything to clean. So from here, I will just go straight to I will load this data. So close and apply. Yeah, ideally, it's not, I don't think there's any data set, or probably there is, but over the period of time I've been designing dashboard or developing dashboard, I know that you probably have 1 or 2 things to do, but because of our time, I've tried as much as possible to do those things before the class. That is why the data seems as though it is very, very clean to use. So just take note of that. All right, so I have the data here. As you can see, same as we have it over there. So one of the things we are going to do is now, if you are actually coming from LinkedIn and you are following Toby's post, he made mention of something that I think 2 or 3 days back, when he had a post telling us that this is just the same thing as when we have customer retention. So the scope of this is coming from that idea of having a customer retention visualized in the form of a heat map, some sort of. So if you have taken a look at it as well, you get to know that that is the same thing we are doing here. So before we start, there are actually some things we'll be doing. Part of those things is we need to know the cohort, that is group these employees by the cohort. The group, the cohort could be probably based on the month they join. It could be probably based on the year they join. It could be probably based on, you can decide to use quarter as well. But in this analysis, what we are going to do is basically we are going to group them by, our cohort will be by the joined month. So we want to have a look at these people based on the month they actually joined Risagracia. So I'm going to create a new column, a calculated column here, and I'm going to name it cohort. Okay, so what I'm going to do is what I want to do is from their higher dates, I want to group these people Take for instance, okay, before I continue with my quote, if I look at the higher date here, can decide from the higher dates here, let's try to filter based on those that joined in the month of January 2020. You may come and I have 01/01/2021. I have the same year, 2021 as well. 2021. Okay. I look at it, I have everyone that were hired between in January 20. We have 8 people here. So what we simply want to do is, and most of these people, some of them were hired, say, on January 11th, January 4th. They were hired on Mondays, but different days, 25th of January, as the case may be. So we want to actually use the months to group them. So irrespective of the month they were hired, I mean, the day of the month they were hired. So we are just interested in grouping them by that. And how do we do that? So to actually what I'm doing by actually creating variables. So I'm creating a variable. I'll call it v current customers. Or let me use employee, current employee. Say each of these employees, we can actually identify them by their email address, correct? So I will just type email address, then it will give me, okay. Then I want another variable, say, I'll call it result. This is what I'm hoping to actually return. So I'll call this, so calculate. Okay, so on this now, this is what I actually hope to return. I want to group these people based on the date, the month they actually joined, and the year. Okay.
Looks like, yeah, it looks like there's been like some latency. I just wanted to confirm.
Okay.
Yeah. And someone is asking, is it possible for you to magnify, like to show, is it possible? Like,
okay. Can you see now?
If you can just go ahead. Oh yeah, that's better. That's better.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the way we are going to do that to actually be able to put these people in groups based on the month and the year they join will be to actually use just categorize them either based on the first day of the month they join, or based on the last day of the month they join. So with this now, I'm going to use the end day, the end date of the month they join. So take for instance, for everyone that joined in January, we are just going to group them to the last date in the month of January. And there is a DAX function to actually do that, end of month. Okay, so this returns the date in date time format of the last day of the month before or after a specified number of months. And what I will just pass in there is I'm going to pass in the minimum hired date. So say the person that was hired. Okay, let me finish this and then just return 0. Then I will explain. I think that works better. Okay, so if you look at this now, End of month takes two arguments. The first one is the start date, and the start date, that is the date the month started. That is why I'm taking the minimum date. So what I'm trying to do now is say we are having 5 people or 10 people join in the month of January, or maybe somebody joined on the 4th, and that person joined on the 10th, and that person joined on the 15th, and that person joined on the 20th. So end of month is taking an argument here, and the argument is taking is saying we should put the start month. That is why I'm using minimum. So with minimum, I get the first day or the minimum day of the month based on that quote, and then I'm now telling it to return 0. So this 0 I'm putting here now is basically to tell you that to return the last date of the end of the month. It could be probably, if you had one, you could add 1 or 2. That would be an additional basically it will just it's calculating more an additional let me put it as, I'm looking for a way to actually explain this. Okay, let's just continue so that I won't just waste my time here. When I look for a better word to actually explain this, I will. So I'm putting 0 here to give me, okay, now this is the number of months I'm specifying. So take, for instance, if I'm putting 2, if I'm putting 1 here, basically what is giving me end of 2 months, I mean a month outside of other than January. You know, I've been using January for instance. So putting 1 here is going to give me the end of those that joined in January. Do you understand what I'm saying? So say the minimum date I'm having here is January, and I'm having 1 here. 1 year is simply saying that give me 1 month ahead of the time. Basically, that is what it means. So, but here we are concerned about that particular month. So I'm just going to have 0 here. So that same month where we have here is what I have here. Then from there, I want to, don't forget I'm using a calculator. I want to actually create a filter. Don't forget filter returns tables. And I'm saying that go to my data table, and on my data table, I want you to filter employees' emails, filter by employees' emails where it is equals to employees' email. But this time around, I'm going to use the variable I created above, which is current employee. Then I'm going to close this. Okay. So let's have this. Oh, I'm having an error. Oh, sorry. Instead of HR. Okay. I'm still having error somewhere. Okay, let's read the syntax. It's saying that the syntax for braces is incorrect. So I must have used a braces where I'm not supposed to. Let me take a look.
We're not returning, like these are just variables at the moment, yeah.
Yes.
So that's what Fatai.
Thank you. So I'm going to return V results. Okay, let's see. All right, so we have this in this format here, and then I can put it in form of let's just have it as this. Okay. All right, so now that we have calculated this, you can see we have it in. So if I filter on those that joined in January again, you can easily see that okay, outcome.
Oh, I
Oh,
think the
sorry,
date
I'm seeing,
range,
yeah,
2021.
0131 2021 as well. Okay. All right. So I have my filter here. Can you see that everyone is showing as January 2021? So we have been able to achieve this. The next one is to actually calculate the tenure of the employees. So we want to calculate the employees tenure. So the employees tenure is, we are going to calculate it. We are going to create another calculated column. You could do this in Power Query, basically. So I'm going to name this tenure. Okay. So I'm going to create an if. So basically what I want to create here is I'm saying that if our HR data say the employee status is equals to active, I'm going to explain what I'm doing here now. Give me the date difference between the higher date okay, I'm using a date here, those that's year 2022. I'm just choosing this. On a norm, it should be the maximum date, but this data is just the data provided to us is just that of last year. So let's just stick with the story. Okay. All right. Then third, so I'm creating this as well. Don't worry, I'm going to explain this immediately I'm done. Then I'm going to have, give me in day, else, give me the date difference. Let me just copy this from my notes book and come and paste this here. Okay, HR. All right. Okay. Probably you don't know how to actually format your DAX very well. You can always use I think SQL BI have just copy it. I'm doing this to give us an instance. So go to daxformatter.com. So you come here. When you get to daxformatter.com, just let me refresh this. So in order to actually have your DAX look, make it readable for people. So copy it from where it is with the name as well. So paste it. So when I paste this and I click on format, oh, what's happening? I'm coming. It's giving me an issue. I don't know why. Come on. Let me paste again. Let me copy again.
Is it because of the assignment, the name of the DAX function? Maybe the tenor equals, I don't know if that matters.
Okay, the active.
Like the name of the.
It's supposed to be there actually.
Okay.
The name is supposed to be there. I'm coming. Let me try run this first. Okay, it ran. So what could be wrong? Okay, I guess I will just do this. Subsequently, I will use that as an instance. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is what I did here. So our if statement is just like what the way we have it in Excel. So I'm saying that, so here we want to calculate the tenor. The normal way is, say you want to calculate the date between two dates. So say I want to calculate January this year and today. That is what date difference actually gives us. Date diff is a DAX function that helps you to calculate the date between two different dates. Say one day, January, like I mentioned, and then today. So actually, I could have actually used today here, but we are sticking with 23rd, 22nd of February. I mean, 3rd of February 2022 as the last date that we're actually taking into consideration to calculate the tenor from. So, but before we do that, the reason why we can't just calculate it straight away is, don't forget that most of the employees we are having here, they have left the company. So someone that left the company last year, if you are saying that we are just going to use the date difference to return the tenor of the employee, what we are going to get is going to be wrong. The proper way to actually tell the tenor of that employee should be the higher date of that employee and that of the attrition date of the employee. That is the date the employee left the company. So that is why I'm giving an if statement here, that if the employee status, the employee name, the employee status is active. That is, if the employee is still active in the company, calculate the date difference by using the higher date and the date that is calculated here, which is 3rd of February year 2022, and return it in days. However, if this is false, I want you to return the date difference between the higher date of that employee and the attrition date of that employee. So that is basically what we have there, so that we will not make the mistake of comparing these two together. All right. So now that we have this now, I actually wanted to format this. Okay. You can always do more formatting. I don't know why that wasn't working. We are still going to try it again. It makes work easier for me, especially when I'm doing I have a long DAX formula written. It's just very easy. Just copy and paste and it gives you in the proper way. All right. So I have this now. Another thing I need is another table, and this table is going to be a calculated table as well. Now, what are we going to do with this calculated table? What I intend doing with this calculated table is to actually create a table that will give me, from what I showed you earlier on, it's going to be our column header that actually gives, based on the number of days the employee actually lives. Let me give you that example. Let me show you the example again for you to understand what I'm saying. So take a look at this now, what we have underneath here. What this visual is definitely telling us is that of those that joined in January 2020, now these 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 24 that we are seeing here has to do with the month that they actually left the company. So if you look at 0 means that of all the people that actually joined the company, if I click on it to filter, about 161 people actually joined the company in January 2020. Of these 161 people that joined the company in January 2020, 4% of them left in that same month. 1 month later, 3% of them left the company. 2 months later, 6% of them left on and on like that. But the question is, what we are having here as the header here is definitely not coming from the HR data we are given. So we need to actually create this. And for us to create this, we need to create a table. So we need to create a table for us to be able to get this. That is why I said we are going to be having a calculated table. So what we do is we'll create a table here using generate series. It's just a simple way of calculating the table. So I'll just call this table tenor table because the column we are interested in is giving us, okay. I'll click on new table. All right, let me bring this down. I'm pasting this. Oh, undo. So let's say tenor. Tenor table. I'm going to say that I'm using generate series. It returns a table with 1 column populated with sequential values from start to end. So what we are going to create here is going to give us a sequential value, more like you are trying to create say 1 to 10, 1 to 20, starting from. So you put the start value, you put the end value, and then you put the incremental value as well. So if I'm saying start from 0 up to 24, give an increment value of 1. Yeah, so we have this. So if I go to our canvas here, I can easily say bring in our matrix visual here. So don't forget we have calculated the cohort. So the cohort, we use it as rows. I'm definitely going to use that as remove data hierarchy. We don't need that. And then the next thing is the tenor table we have calculated and the value, I'm going to use it as column. Okay, we are getting an error. Don't worry, that will be fixed. So the next thing for us to do is to actually create a measure that will bring these things into order, and that's actually where the work is. So, but basically, let's try to make some simple calculation, more like calculating the number of, let's get the number of employees we have. So I will call it hire or new hire. Let's just call it. Sorry, I have issues with naming. I always take my time to think of what best name to. All right. So here I will call it hired. And the hired there, I basically want to call it, I want to calculate, make a distinct count of employees' email address. And this should give us the value we are looking for. So if I bring this value here, okay. So if I bring this value here, I'm seeing that, okay, you can see that we have 4,443 employees being hired so far. If I also bring this value here into this, our matrix, you will see that in January 2020, we have 161 employees hired on and on. But don't forget that I've removed the column we have here that will actually show us. The intention is to actually, we are not really concerned in the number of, don't forget the business question. We're not really concerned in the number of people that were hired. Rather, we are concerned with the attrition. That is basically what we want to know. We want to be able to visualize the attrition in such a way that it will be easy to explain to the business partners in the meeting Sandra is going for. So with this that we have now, there is a need for us to go ahead and also calculate. Let's have a feel of the attrition also. So of these 4,443, how many are treated? That's how many left the company within that short period of 2 years? Let's see. So I'll call this attrition as well. So I'll just call this, I'll just make a distinct count as well. I don't need a distinct count, pardon me. Let me just use a calculate since I already have my, IAD. And then I'm just going to filter. Let me do it the lazy way. Status. Where we have the status as terminated. Okay. Sorry, please. I'm trying to watch my time as well. Okay. So if I click this as well, and then I can easily say I copy and paste this here. And then from here, I can remove this and put this here. Okay. So from 4,443, as you can see from here, we have about 2,003, almost half of this, or more than half of this, have actually left the company. But that's not really where we are going. Where we are going is to actually calculate the employee attrition. So basically, let's try to calculate the employees' attrition. Over the months, as they leave over the months. So I will call this employee attrition. Okay, so I want to break down how this will be calculated for us. We are concerned, we are interested in knowing the months an employee joined and the tenure at which the employee leaves. But this tenure, we are not calculating it in days. This tenure, we are calculating it in groups, and that group is in the month they left, whether they leave that same month they join, or they are leaving a month later or 2 months later. So what I want to do is, how do I get that? The best way for me to get that is for me to actually say, so let's say that, okay. So what I'm having here is,
Max, zoom in a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it better now?
It's better.
Okay. So looking at what I have here now, don't forget, I want to be able to see those that joined in January. After seeing those that joined in January, 161, I want to know out of this 161, how many of them left the first month or that same month? How many of them left the following month? And so the way it works is, if you are really, really familiar with, I'm coming back to this, with probably pivot table in Excel, or you are very familiar with matrix visual, you will know that it takes into consideration the row and the column. It takes into consideration the row and the columns. So how do we make our DAX function that we are creating such that is going to take into consideration the row and the column. And that's what brings about selected value. Selected value, we always, so I'm going to create a variable, say current, let me call it current months after. I love to call it this. And then I'm going to use selected value. What I'm using selected value to do is I'm telling it to actually select. So let's see what selected value does. Okay, it returns, let me put in the value I want. Tenor table, I want the value. Okay, so selected value return the value when there's only one value in the specified column. Otherwise, I'm going to explain this better later. Sorry. As well, I want you to be able to select my cohort, that is the date they actually join. So I will also say my current cohort. Sorry, I'm not really good at naming, so just try to understand my naming. So I'll put the HR cohort. Don't forget we have grouped them as well. So in the first place, we created a table that's actually showing us how they live in months. As well, we have also created a column in our HR data that we are giving, where we actually group all the employees based on the date they actually join. So looking at it from here now, I will come down and I'm going to create another variable, say, let me just call it V left. That is, I want to calculate the number of people that actually left during that period. So what I'm going to use is, I'm still going to use calculate. I'll use calculate, and what I want to calculate is of the people that were hired, I want you to actually filter the table. I want to filter the HR data table. Where the end date, that is the end of the month of the date the employee left the company. Let me come down. So I will explain this one after the other, because this is just the major one. After this one, every other thing is easy. I'll just do this and then I will explain further later. The attrition dates, the end of that date. Okay, then I'm going to pick the cohort V current I have at. Okay, and then I'm going to put the V current the month after. I can close this and then come down again and have this close. All right, so this is what this is talking about. So I have a variable I've calculated. I have named it V left. Basically, what I want I'm trying to calculate here is how many of the employees actually left based on the cohort. In other words, those that joined in January, how many of them left? So how did I calculate that? Don't forget that we have the number of hired here. So the number of hired, I am now using filter to actually filter my HR data, but I'm passing an argument here that is saying that, number one, first calculate the end date, end of the month of attrition. Calculate the end of the month of the month they actually left the company. So take for instance, so if you're having 10 people leave the Risa Gracia in January, let's say February year 2022, probably one of them left in February 1st. Maybe another person left February 16th. Maybe another person left maybe 20th of February, as the case may be. I'm saying that calculate the end of that month. So compare that end of the month with this V current cohort here is picking. Basically what this does is selected value picks the month, the column, which is the month they actually left, and selected value HR cohort here picks the month they came into the company. And with that, it will actually calculate the end of the month with which they left. So what we are doing here is we are trying as much as possible to compare. Okay, I think it's just best. Let me use the table. Let me return this and then I'll go back to the table. Sorry. I'm not sure people are actually getting what I'm doing here. Okay, so let me come to my table here and show you something, what I'm trying to do. Probably if I explain from here, it will be much more easier. What we are trying to do is, don't forget our filter there already on those that joined January. So what we are now, the next thing I did is, looking at those, I can also come here and also look at those that actually left January as well, January 2021. So if I come here now and I choose between January 2021, those that also left January 2021, I have this January 2021 as well. I have this as well. Okay. Of the many people that actually joined that were hired in January 2021, as you can see, you will notice that on that same month, 17 of them left the company in January 2021 as well. So what I am doing, calculating the employee attrition, let me come use this here. What I'm doing here is I'm telling calculate to actually calculate the hired date, the number of people that were hired, but that left the same month. So if the cohort month we are looking at here is those that joined in January 2021, and the value here is 0. Don't forget, end of month, we always take the start date and then 0 showing month. This is in months. 0 telling us the same month, end of that same month. If you put 1, it will give you end of. So if what the date you're having here is January, if you put 1 here, it's going to give you a month later. If you put 2, it's going to give you 2 months later. If you put 3, it's going to give you like that. So what we are telling, I'm now telling my filter here to do is calculate, filter my HR data where my end of the month of attrition is equivalent to end of the month of hired. That is, filter my HR data and give me those that actually left the company the same month they actually joined the company. That is if the value here is January and V current month after year is 0. But if V current month after year is 1, it means filter my HR data and calculate the number of employees that left in the date whereby my end of attrition date, the end of the month of my attrition is equivalent to the end of the month of the join date. So if I come back here with what I have here, let me remove this too. And I put my value here with this here. Let's see what we have. Okay. All right. So with this now, what we just calculated, let me open this up. Toby, have I exhausted my time?
We have about 5 more minutes.
Oh, okay. I think we have done something actually. So looking at it from here, you can actually tell of those that joined in January. I actually want to open this up. Let me reduce. Okay. All right. those that joined in January, we had about 161 people joined in January. Of the 161 people that joined in January 2021, how many of them? So calculate the end of the month of attrition. That is, those that actually left that same month, if the attrition is equal to 0 here. So if you look at it, we're having, so someone left January, someone joined January, the person is leaving January. So that person will fall into this category, being that the cohort is January and the V current month after, which is the month after the person left, or it could be the present month as well, is there. Somebody is writing on my screen. All right. Then from here, what I just need to do is, I may not be able to do every other thing, but let me do this. Okay. Okay, I think I will just use this because of the time. Toby, I'll just stop here so I can take a few questions if I have the time. Toby, are you with me?
If yeah, like if anyone has questions, now is the time to add some more. I think we have about 2 questions in the comments. So
okay. So I can take the questions now. What I'm calculating here, I'm just calculating this. Say we want to have it in percentage. Those that left and those that.
yeah, go on.
Okay,
still collecting.
can always have this. Okay, then we can format this in the proper way it should be. So I'll close this. I'll close this as well. All right, so we can easily tell, okay, those that actually joined January, 4% of them left that same month and the likes. Looking at what we have here, this is actually where we are supposed to get to. If you look at it from here, you can actually tell from here, we have been able to tell that we can tell a story from what we have here, from this solution that we have here. And if you are looking at it, if you are looking at this visual, you should look at it both horizontally and vertically. Horizontally, you can tell that there's quite the figure we have between 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 seems to be very, very high. And then when you come to 11, 12, 13, 14, up to like 18, this place seems to be very heated as well. This is simply telling us a story. What it's telling us here is that majority of the employees that are hired in this period that we have here, they tend to leave between the first 5 months or 6 months that they join the company. Now, telling further story about this to actually back up what Sandra wanted to know. Most of these employees, according to Sandra, which is actually the context I wanted to bring in later on, but our time would not permit, is that most of these employees that are leaving by this time, they actually join, it is during their onboarding process. You know, you join, probably you join as a technician in a production factory. It's not just the same day as a technician, you start handling the machine, probably a packaging machine, or whatsoever it may be. You first need to be tutored how it is used. Even if you have used it before from somewhere else, there's still a need for them to actually take you through the context of their own machine they are using in that particular company. So taking 2, 3, 4 months. And during this period of time, don't forget that this particular employee will be paid. And they realize that after they have spent 4 to 5 months in the company, they leave. Those that don't leave during this period, they eventually leave, say, after a year or 1 year, 6 months that they join the company. And that is why the attrition rate they are getting is being high. If you look at it horizontally as well, we can tell some story looking at March, looking at June, looking at, if you look at it, March 2020, and you come to 2021 as well, you look at March and June. Attrition rate in June seems to be very, very high, and December. So this is the story we are able to actually tell. And if Sandra lay her hands on this, she will be able to actually show the global partners what is actually going on underneath the HR data that they have available.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Yeah.
It's been awesome, and it was such a delightful episode, right? So we have some questions here. Are you ready to?
Yes, please.
So the first one I have here is, how do you compare Power BI to Tableau, and like using Python libraries to get the same type of work done? So I suppose comparing the different tools and designing the same view. How do you compare other tools?
Okay. Well, Toby, I believe Toby is a good user of Tableau. I've seen his visual. Probably you will help us tell about that. For me, I know about Tableau, but I'm more of Power BI inclined. I can use Tableau, but my usage of Tableau, I can't remember the last time I actually opened my Tableau. Basically, most of what the company I work presently, we do it most of the time. If not Power BI, we are Microsoft inclined, basically. And freelance work I've done, basically, more of it have been the only places where I know recently I've had to open my Tableau has to be probably I'm talking to a mentee on how to solve a problem, or probably he or she is doing something that has to do with Tableau. So
I think,
talking about library, go on, please.
I think it's the same idea, right? With other tools, and it's possible to create a view like this in Tableau as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the next question is there a difference between using a distinct count compared to count rows, or count rows in this case?
Don't forget that count row will not give you the distinct value if you're having if you are having on that particular employee table, if you're having, say you're having what is it called? If on the email address that we are having here, if the number we are having, say we are having duplicates, count row will give you the number of, what count row does is it counts the table row by row. But if you're going to use count row, you would have to use value. So count row value, and then you get it. So it will, count row and value will definitely give you the same thing as distinct value. But if you use count row alone, you're not going to get it. It will just give you the count number of row. If there are this, if there are duplicate there, it will not be able to give you exact distinct value. So that's the difference.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel. You have enlightened us very well this evening. I'm certainly very, very well enlightened.